Hey, friends, welcome to Revival Town Podcast, special edition on location from Fraser, Colorado. I'm Chuck Tate. That's Andy King.
And I'm just in the basement at the Dream Center.
Hey, it looks cool, though.
Well, yeah, I just put a few lights up. You know, I wanted the best for you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the kind of people you are. You're good people.
Well, I know that this is a bit different for people. We are not in the same room.
It's different for us.
Different, yeah. Obviously, which is weird. The time that you go away on a ski trip with a bunch of guys, and you're going to get into it. It's now 65, 70 degrees here in Peoria this week. So,
What?
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Don't worry, though.
It better be that when I get home.
Probably. Well, it may not be, but you know.
Yeah.
So we're doing something a little different. We have. I wanted to catch up with Chuck because you have been all over the place the last few weeks, and so we thought, hey, well, why don't we do a bit of a podcast with you on location in Colorado? And so that's what we're doing. But Colorado isn't the only place you've been to in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And you were away last week, and we're going to get into that because you got to meet a ton of people that have been on the podcast, that are wanting to come on the podcast, and just a rich time. But why don't you tell us first just where you're at and what you've been doing, and we can dig into that a little later. But just so people are like, that's a nice place that he's in. Is that his house?
So yeah, right now I'm in a cabin in the woods in Fraser, Colorado, which is basically winter park. So I have been participating for a number of years for something called Ski and Grow, and it began by somebody from the Young Life organization. In fact, somebody who's been on Revival Town podcast, Scott Seinemeyer, he oversees this trip called Ski and Grow. But this is only the second time that I've been able to go on this trip since COVID. And yesterday was the first time I have skied since like 2019. And
you
if
survived.
I showed you my shins, you would believe me. Because they're all bruised. But yeah, more on that later. But that's why I'm here. I'm in Colorado. This is a sabbatical that the church sends me on. It's a week-long sabbatical. And obviously, my good friend, my faithful friend, one of my lifers is this guy right here. Wave to the camera, Jason. He's been on Revival Town podcast too. So he has always done this trip with me. And we've had a really good time, and yeah, we'll fill you more in on that.
Yeah.
It's been good, but that's where I'm at. So we're in this little cabin. I wanted you to see the mountains in the background outside that big picture window for those that are watching. And unfortunately, it's really cold outside, or I almost did this outside. But,
you should have just for the entertainment.
Yeah.
Cold.
Well, you know what? At the end, I might be able to unplug everything, and I can probably walk backwards outside and show you the mountains. Maybe that's how we'll end the podcast today.
Okay. All right. Leave everyone on a cliffhanger, literally.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Well, Chuck, why don't you go back a few weeks? You have been on the road. Obviously, you're in the midst of promoting as well your new book that's going really well. And you went down to a convention in Dallas. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because when we started talking, one, I got a bit jealous of not being there, but also you got to see a lot of people that have been on the podcast.
Yeah, well, it began with the day that I left. I had the opportunity to speak at Ironman Lunch, which is a pretty well-known luncheon for men. There were between 175 and 200 men that were there. You opened the event in prayer, and Jason, who we just showed, closed the event in prayer. And
but it's because we're the only two friends you've got.
Yeah, the only two friends I got. Well, one more. So Brad, I have a third friend. Brad, he is the one who has the vision for this luncheon and created it and oversees it. He's on the ski trip as well. He's out
Oh,
skiing today
cool.
because he's in
Cool.
better, yeah, he's in better shape than me and Jason. But so what happened was, so I preached that event. We talked about, we tied in 41 will come with 9 words from Jesus. And then I had to get in a car and drive straight to Dallas. So I want to give you a little backstory just because I think it'll be fun for those who are
Yeah, and let me
our
just
audience.
pause it. Let me just pause it. Anyone that's listening that knows Chuck knows that there is always going to be a story. And I think this is one of the classics. All right. I'm just setting it that way. All right.
All right, all right. So the good news is my wife decided to go with me. She has not been able to travel with me on an extended trip for probably 5 to 6 years because of her health. And she was doing well enough. It was a game time decision. She told me that morning, I'm going to go ahead and go. And I was like, yes. However, the car I rented looked like a toy. It was a little red Mitsubishi, um, two-seater. I mean, it looked like a smart car. And so when I
Because you
was
did,
loading it, that
because you did the let them pick,
yeah,
right?
let them pick. Yeah, thanks for picking me the Flintstones vehicle. That's how I felt. I mean, now I picked compact. I should have picked economy. So in that compact, I let them choose which vehicle. And a lot of times they give you a free upgrade. I've been with Enterprise for a long time. So a lot of times I'll pick something that's cheaper. And then when I get there, they're like, hey, we have this, nice SUV if you but so I shouldn't have gambled because not only was I going to be driving to Dallas, I was going to be driving straight from Dallas then to New Mexico. So we're talking a 2 day trip of driving in, and I booked it when I thought it was just going to be me. But now my wife is going, and I went to load the car that morning with my stuff, and there's no trunk. So I had to put the seats down. There's not even an armrest. So I'm like, how am I supposed to drive to New Mexico? Like, so on my way to do the luncheon, I called Enterprise and said, please tell me you have a bigger vehicle. I really need to exchange this. I don't think this is going to work. And he told me, unfortunately, we probably won't get a vehicle in. And if we do, it won't be until 4:30. Well, I knew that luncheon's over at 1. I got to get the road because I had an interview in Dallas at 9 a.m. the next day. In Dallas from Peoria, it's like a 12-hour drive at least.
Yeah.
So anyway, my daughter brought my wife to meet me at Starbucks to throw her suitcase in our already packed little putt-putt car. And I was sitting there waiting for my wife and just prayed. And I called Enterprise and I said, hey, I know it's unlikely from what I've been told. Is there any way that you guys have another vehicle? And they said, actually, we just got a Nissan Rogue in, which is a SUV. He's like, if you come get it right now, you can have it. I'm like, hallelujah. So we got to ditch the putt-putt car, load the Nissan Rogue, but we got off to a late start, so about 2:30 the afternoon. Fast forward
Oh,
to
wait a minute. Wasn't there something else that happened with that car?
yes, and that's yeah. So it was. I'm fast forwarding to the middle of the night. Okay, and
Yeah.
we
Oh, I
were
thought that was at your house.
but I was already gone. I was on the road. So
Oh,
what happened was,
okay.
so we're
Okay.
on the road
Yeah.
somewhere in Oklahoma. It's late at night. It's at least midnight. I think it was around midnight, and I was on the phone with our missionary friends in Kenya.
Yeah.
While I was on the phone, we found out that there was a gas leak in our home back in Illinois. My daughter called,
Yeah.
was talking to my wife. I'm on the phone with Africa. She's on the phone with my daughter. So I have to get off the phone with Africa. I called 911. 911 says, you're going to have somebody from your home call 911. We can't transfer you to the county in Illinois since we're in Oklahoma. So we had to call our daughter and say, you have to call 911. So next thing you know, the fire department is at our house. Amron is at our house. And I got pulled over for speeding in the midst of all this. because I was not paying attention.
Yeah, yeah.
So I sent you a picture.
Oh, yeah. I got it. Oh, man.
Yeah, yeah. I sent you a picture of the police lights going like, you won't believe this podcast story. So here's where it gets funny. So I was praying, and it wasn't funny in the moment. The cop says, "Hey, I got you going 65 and 55," and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Kind of trying to explain what's going on. He's like, "Listen, I'm not gonna give you a ticket. I am gonna give you a written warning, and feel free to throw it away after I leave." But I'm like, I'm gonna do that. Okay. So, I was like so grateful. I'm like, thank you so much. He's like, I just need, you know, your license, proof of insurance. And I'm like, okay, this is just, this is a rental car. He's like, I'm gonna need your enterprise paperwork. So I get that out of the glove box, and he's making sure I'm not getting a gun, right? And enterprise, I switched cars, but they did not switch paperwork. So it still showed that I was driving a red Mitsubishi, not a silver Nissan Rogue. So I had a little mini panic attack, and I said, "Hey, I know this says it's a Mitsubishi, but I switched it last minute." He's like, I'm just gonna have to call Enterprise and, make sure that you're not driving a stolen vehicle." Ah, this is my life, Andy. This is my
Oh,
life.
man.
So he comes back. Hey, I called Enterprise. It checks out. You're good to go. You can throw away the ticket. You don't need to keep it. It's just a written warning, man. Just, try to slow down. I'm like, man, thank you for your grace. I really appreciate it. And so we got back on the road, got to Dallas at 4:30 a.m. I got to bed at 5:30 a.m. I had to get up at 7:30 and then drive to this convention center because I was attending something called NRB, which stands for the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, which is the largest religious broadcasting convention out there. So, it's, Christian television stations and radio stations, publishers. It is massive. In this event center is in a hotel that's like the size of the Civic Center in Peoria for our Peoria audience. I mean, it's just huge, and there's ballrooms everywhere, expo centers. I mean, there's 3 levels. I mean, it's just massive. So I'm driving there, trying to find a parking spot. I'm fried. I've only slept 2 hours, and I had an interview at 9 a.m. where I was supposed to meet my publicist at this one location, but there are people doing interviews in the hallway. There are rooms with tents in them where we're talking like 30 tents where people are doing interviews. I mean, anyone you can think of, like, even in the expo center, there are massive displays with huge stages where, like TBN and Faith Television, there's huge networks are filming, and everything's live. People are walking around. It's just, really cool. Honestly, it's just I haven't been to anything like it because it's not. I mean, there were a few booths where people were selling things, but most of the booths are just displaying their ministry, their
Yeah.
publishing house, their television station, their network, that kind of stuff. Nick Vajicic, he is the evangelist with no arms and no legs that
Yeah. From
he
Australia.
rolled right past me, said hello to me. I could have grabbed him and did like a 10-second spot for Revival Town. I mean, it's just, I texted you. I walked right past Jay John, who's
Yeah.
massive, one of your favorite speakers ever. And he
Yeah.
was in a conversation with his wife, and I tried to say hi to him, and he didn't even look up. He just kept going, and I just sat there and cried. And then, no kidding, but
Well,
no,
he called security.
yeah, that's the kind of place this is. Well, here's what happened. Knowing me, I went to the wrong room because it was somewhat confusing, and I went to this space to knowing I'm on the clock, man. I need to hurry. I need to meet my publicist Taylor, and I have this first interview lined up at 9. And I'm also going on fumes
Yeah.
because I'm so fried from preaching, driving 13 hours, dealing with the house, the gas, and then getting there. It's just wild. Well, anyway, so I walk into the wrong room, and I'm in line to get in this press area where there's a whole bunch of press tents and different things. And I'm wearing my hat, a 41 hat. I don't have that on at the moment, but I have this hat. It says 41 on it. And some guy walked up to me and just goes, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! Listen, man, I need you to tell me about 41 right now. What's the deal with this 41? I'm seeing it everywhere. I gotta know what's behind the 41." And I just started telling him, and I went through my spiel,
Yeah.
and I'm not. He just teared up, man, in tears. He's like, "I know I'm getting emotional, but I just turned 40. I believe 41's my year. I've been seeing it everywhere." And he's like, "Man, this is." He got out his phone. He started showing me all these 41s. Well, it turns out he works for Pray.com, which had one of the largest displays in the expo.
Yeah.
And we've since connected. And he's going to come on Revival Town.
Oh,
His
great.
name is Russ Kirkpatrick, and he's got a great story. And I can't wait to share it on Revival Town. So I've connected with him. He's been sending me 41s. It was a divine appointment, which means sometimes the wrong room is the right room.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what happened. And then I ended up meeting my publicist at the right place, did the interview. I did another one that afternoon. It went really cool. That night I went to it's kind of like an after party. It was for new influencers whose first time was at NRB, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was hosted by Revival Town alumni Billy Hallowell and Lucas Miles. All right,
Oh,
Billy
yeah.
Hallowell is a journalist and he works for CBN TV. He's interviewed everybody. All
Huge.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so many people. And then not only that, Lucas Miles, who now works for Turning Point USA, he's a pastor in Indiana, but he's also the president of Turning Point USA. So his boss is Charlie Kirk.
Oh,
So these guys had this after party from 9 p.m. to 10:30. Now remember, I've only had 2 hours of sleep. I've done 2 interviews. I've preached. I was fried, and I got arrested, man. No, I'm kidding. So no, kidding. So anyway, but in that room were so many people that are just doing incredible things for the kingdom. And I know we're going to get a couple on Revival Town podcast. I was able to, I was on a TV show a few weeks ago via Zoom with Randy Robinson. So his father is James, and Betty Jean Robinson. Life Today is a well-known Christian television program, and I was able to be on with him. Well, then he was in the room, so I got to meet him in person and talk to him, and he was talking to a film promoter who was behind Jesus Revolution, and I can only imagine, and all these others, and we just connected, and the CEO of the Christian Post was there, and I met somebody from the Washington Times, and it was just like all these cool people just connecting and just hanging out.
and didn't you, didn't you get to like officially meet Gary Wilkerson, who was on last week on Revival Town podcast?
Yes, so I met him earlier that day. Just in the expo, I was hanging out with Alex Marashko, who's been on Revival Town podcast,
Yeah.
who used to write for the LA Times. And we both met Gary at the Digital Billy Graham Summit in Lakeland, Florida, that I had gone
That's
to.
right.
We talked about
Yes,
that.
yes.
So Gary came up to us out of the blue, and we connected with him. And yeah, so in fact, so everybody that's listening and watching right now, his episode will have already aired when you hear this one, right?
Yeah.
Something. So yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes ever. Gary Wilkerson is the real deal. So to meet him in person and meet his wife, and it was cool. But that, NRB. So Andy, you got to go next year. It's in Nashville.
Yeah.
We're going to do some interviews on site at the NRB.
Yeah,
There's
that'd
no
be
place.
great.
There's no place like it. So, yeah, that was the first part of the journey. We got to hang out with Alex, and his wife's name is Minnie, and because my wife Annette was with me, we went to breakfast with them. And it was just really a great time, not just to promote the book, but to make some new friends, to connect with some people. Another guest we're going to have on a Revival Town podcast. I was walking through the expo center, and this guy was wearing a striper shirt, and I'm like, hey, I love your shirt, and he stopped. He's like, you know the Striper guys? I'm like, And I said, we had the singer, Michael Sweet, on our podcast, Revival Town podcast. He's like, oh man, that's so cool. And we got talking. Turns out, when we had Michael Sweet on the podcast, he mentioned the documentary that's being filmed for their band after 40 years. 41 will come, right? 40 years of Striper ministry. Well, the guy that I was talking to is the filmmaker. He's the one producing the documentary. His name is Christopher Atkins, and he is an award-winning filmmaker who produced a film about Israel. As you know, the attacks on Israel
Yeah.
took place October 6th. He landed October 7th and filmed it. And at last year's NRB, his film was in the showcase. But then he also has a YouTube channel where he films and he dives to look for sunken treasure. I
Oh,
mean, he's coming on Revival Town.
oh yeah. That's good. A
Yeah.
real Outer Banks guy.
Yes, yes, yeah, right, exactly. So anyway, that was NRB. That was NRB. And then we got in the car and drove to New
Oh,
Mexico.
wait. Let me press pause. The story that you told me as well about the car, you said that a cat got in it as well.
Oh, yes. So
You can't make this stuff up.
back to the putt-putt car. It was like the Flintstones, man. I had the back hatch open because there's no trunk, so I had to lay the seats down and and I knew I had to bring my podcast equipment,
Yeah.
and all the stuff. And anyway, so I kept the trunk open. I went inside to grab some more bags. I was, running around, just loading. I come back out, and there are paw prints all over. A stray cat from the neighborhood got in the car. Now it's got sand and dirt all over the car, the front seat, the dash, the back hatch, on my back. Like, thank God it didn't pee in there.
Oh yeah. I tell you what would have been funny if you were like an hour out and all of a sudden you started hearing the cat.
We have this neighborhood cat. His name is Jack. Yeah. Hey, Jack. Jack ain't never going home. I'll tell you that. Jack's going bye-bye.
Oh, that's good. So then you get home. You were home for the weekend to be at church. You weren't preaching. You've got some of your other pastoral staff speaking, but then you hit the road again.
Well, no, I didn't even come home. So I went straight from Dallas to New Mexico.
Okay.
Yep. So we drove. It's I think about 7 hours from Dallas to Carlsbad, New Mexico. Pastor Jason and Tiffany Shirley, who have also been on Revival Town podcast to share Tiffany's story about something miraculous. Got to go back and watch that episode. Well, we were there for the whole weekend at their church. It's called Word of Life Church. Church has been around for 33 years, impacting their community in Carlsbad, New Mexico. And Jason's father retired about almost a year ago, and Jason took it over. So Jason's the senior pastor, and him and his wife do a podcast called Doing Life Together. So I did a meet and greet with their staff. I was on their podcast, and then I preached at Word of Life that Sunday, and shared the vision of the book 9 Words from Jesus. And it was just a really, really great time. And so then we decided to, instead of driving back through Texas, because from Dallas to New Mexico was nothing but oil fields and broken down little cities. So we're like, you know what? Let's go 4 hours out of our way, and let's go to let's go stay in Santa Fe, and which is where Gene Hackman lived.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we drove right through Roswell, stopped at Starbucks, and I don't know if our audience knows this, but Roswell is the UFO capital of the United States.
Yeah. How was that? Is that?
It
Do you
was
see
weird.
a lot of stuff?
Honestly, we saw, like, even you driving by regular, like a Burger King, they'll have aliens on top of the building. You know what I mean? There was this UFO alien stuff everywhere. It was, and I found out that the trip I'm on right now.
What are your thoughts on UFOs, Chuck?
Boy, we could do a whole podcast on this. My short answer is I personally believe that it's all demonic. That's my short answer.
Demonic deceptions.
Pardon?
Demonic deceptions
Yes.
of what people see.
Yep. That's what I think. And I think what better way. I mean, I really do believe, and this is not to get into eschatology in the book of Revelation and talk about, the rapture, which we know the word rapture is not in the Bible, but we know that Jesus is going to return. And I do believe that when that event happens, what better idea to deceive people than the only explanation for all these millions of people who have disappeared is aliens. But that's a whole nother podcast. That's my
All right.
short.
Okay. Okay. No,
Yeah,
no
that's
worries.
my short.
All right.
That's my
I'll just,
short.
I'll
But
just, yeah.
but anyway, but Roswell, it was wild. It was cool, and I found out that there is a guy that used to go to Ski and Grow where I'm at in Colorado who lives in Roswell. I didn't even know it. We
Wow.
drove right through. But anyway, so then we headed towards Colorado. We drove all day through the mountains, and we were going to go from Colorado Springs to Denver. And that suggested let's go through Kansas. We'll cut off an hour and a half to 2 hours. I didn't really want to do that, but it was nighttime, so we decided to do that. It turned out to be a good thing because next thing you know, there's blizzard warnings.
Oh,
Remember, we went to Dallas and New Mexico. We never intended to go to Colorado, so I was wearing shorts, and neither one of us had a coat. So now we're in this blizzard warning, and we stop right near I-70. Maybe I-170, I don't remember, I-70, and run into an Arby's and talk to a police officer, and there were 65 mile per hour. The snow had not started yet, but 65 mile per hour winds. It was insane. Just getting out of the car and getting in, like pumping gas, and then getting
yeah.
into this Arby's, and the cops asked us what we were doing. I told them we were going to be going to Denver, but we decided now to. He's like, no, you're not going to Denver. He goes, we're getting ready to. No one knows this. We're getting ready to shut down I-70. We got 8 inches of snow coming, 65 mile per hour winds. Man, you're
Oh,
going the right way. So praise the Lord. Thank
yeah.
God for the Holy Spirit and Annette. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we ended up staying somewhere in Kansas. Got home the next day, but then yeah, got home on a late Tuesday night. But then Sunday. Soon as church was over, I wasn't preaching because we're in a series where all of our pastors are taking a
Yeah.
week, and so while the service was closing, I snuck out the back door, got in another rental vehicle. This time a Toyota RAV4, ready for the Colorado weather. And Jason, who we just showed you a little while ago,
Yeah.
he played bass for the weekend, so he jumped in the car, and then we took off and made it all the way to North Platte, Nebraska. We arrived in the Winter Park area on Monday afternoon. We skied all day Tuesday, which was yesterday, and today our shins are bruised and we are just chilling. And when this podcast recording is over, we're going to go meet the guys at the bottom of the mountain. They're all skiing, and every day they ski. Then we all meet up for lunch, so we're going to go meet them for lunch.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
highlights of this week so far, as far as conversations with some of the guys, or is it too early yet?
So this has been really good. In fact, a couple of guys already had to leave. There were 14 of us total. And so when I say ski and grow, just to give people some context, oh yeah, this must be nice to go and ski and sabbatical. But what that means is the guys, we get together, we ski all day, we come back, we get in the hot tub, we all go to dinner, we come back, and then around a fire, we get into the Word. And it's just guys opening up and sharing. And honestly, the last 2 nights have been very emotional. The theme for this year has been prayer. So we've been talking about prayer. And as you know, Andy, especially when it comes to churches, most of the intercessors are women. And a lot of times, even elderly women, they love to pray. And
Yeah.
men don't have the reputation for being prayer warriors.
Right.
I share my dad is a prayer warrior,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I know your dad is a prayer warrior. That's not the norm. And so why is that? We've been unpacking that. And Scott Seinemeyer, he leads the discussions. He chose the topic, but it's been really rich. It's
That's
been
good.
really, really great conversations. I mean, some emotional moments,
Yeah.
you know, um, tears. Jason, what's your thoughts on Ski and Grow?
It's very powerful because you get a bunch of men together. A lot of strong men. A lot of some of these guys own businesses and very capable, but strips us back to our vulnerable, very vulnerable um, posturing and just opening up. Men don't do that very often, right?
Right.
especially this year, just opening up and talking about prayer and just sharing life's all the stuff that you go through in life and praying for each other. It's really really good, and we're skiing in arguably some of the best places in America. So get to do all that in 1 week. It's incredible.
Wow.
And a lot of laughter, a lot
Yeah,
of laughter.
yeah, of course,
So
yeah.
especially, seeing, I mean, honestly, the skiing is no joke. And we ski a place called Mary Jane, and their theme is their tagline is "No pain, no Jane," because it's a blue black. So for anyone that's familiar with skiing, green is beginner, blue is no joke, man. It's for moderate. Black is advanced.
Yeah.
And when you're on a Colorado mountain, that's 12,000 feet, right? It's intense. So Mary Jane, it's a blue black, and
Yeah.
it's here comes Jason.
And compared to most ski resorts, it's blue black is like everyone's black. The Mary Jane, there's sections of it that is truly black diamond. It is a legit slope, man.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. So we had to do it twice yesterday because the only way to get back to where we parked was you got to go down Mary Jane. So we had to psych ourselves up for it. But hey, this is wild. So yesterday we went to at one point after lunch, we went to the very top of the mountain, 12,000 feet. We took our time skiing, green runs, green and blue the whole way down. And then we, took off our skis and we walked to this little village. There's a Starbucks, and every time we've been on this trip, it's a highlight where we just sit there and chill and there was a group of people sitting next to us that are from Morton, Illinois.
what? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It
Wow.
was just wild. So we hung out with them, and then we had to psych ourselves up to get our, to go back up the mountain to go down Mary Jane to call it a day. And man, it was rough, but we made it. We made it.
And I know he's not with you this year because I'm actually having lunch with him tomorrow. But Dave Jane, who's been on many times on Revive Town, of fan favorite pastor that's local, he is a legit. He used to instruct people on black diamonds. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
He was supposed to come on this trip.
Yeah, yeah. He couldn't. They had a family death last week, and he couldn't go. But yeah, back in the day, like when I first met him, one of the things that he would do in the winter was work for this Christian company that did tours to Switzerland, to the Alps, and he was their instructor on how to get down the Black Diamonds mountains. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is I never knew. Wow, because we have a guy here who's from Switzerland. We call him the Swiss Rocket. His name is Joe, and he's got to meet Dave then.
Oh yeah, Dave's like a legit.
That's
skier.
fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow,
So
amazing.
well, that's good. Well, Chuck, I know you're there right now, but do you want to just pray for folks that may be listening? And I know there may be something on your heart you want to pray for those that are listening. Would you do that for us, Chuck?
Yeah, yeah. Jesus, right now, I just thank you so much for Revival Town Podcast. Thank you for Andy. I thank you for our audience. And I don't know, and Andy doesn't know what those who are on the other side of this screen or microphone are going through, but you do. And I know, Lord, that you hear us. You want us to cry out to you. Your word says to come boldly to the throne of our gracious God that we might obtain. Jesus, you said you have not because you ask not. Ask and you will receive. Knock and that door will be open to you. Your word says in Philippians 4, don't worry about anything. Pray about everything. Tell God what you need. So we pause right now, God, to tell you what we need. And we just come in agreement with everyone that's listening or watching right now, knowing that you are moving in our circumstances, that you love us, that you see us, that you hear us, you're for us. Jesus, we know that your word confirms that you're at the right hand of the Father, literally interceding for us at this exact moment, cheering us on. So we give you praise in advance for the good reports we will hear because of what you did today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, Chuck. That was good. That was good.
Thank you.
So I know that you've got a long haul back. When do you leave?
We leave in the morning.
Morning? Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Yep. Good. So shall we go straight into, instead of doing the big three, shall we go straight into Tate and his mate?
Yeah, let's do it, and then I'm going to take you outside.
Oh, okay. All right. Here we go. So Tate and his mate, this is the bit where I'm going to ask an English word, phrase, rhyming Cockney slang to my mate, Chuck Tate. Obviously, I'm from England originally. A lot of words we use in England that they don't use over here in the US. And so Chuck's got to try and guess these words. Now, the word I've got today, I'm not sure. They may use it in America. So if they do, then that's fine, right? But this is a word that I remember. And you said something earlier. And so I'm going to put this word into context, right?
Okay.
All right. In getting in a hot tub, you don't want to be starkers.
Get into a hot tub. You don't want to be what?
Starkers. Starkers.
Starkers. Getting into a hot tub. You don't want to be starkers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with you don't want to be naked.
Yes.
You don't want to be. You don't want. Is it really? I've never heard of it, but
Starkers.
Jason and we were joking about that yesterday because we got in the hot tub and we're like, man, boys, everybody in for a surprise. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't want to be starkers.
You don't want to be starkers. That is the truth. And not only do you not want to be starkers, you don't want anybody else to be starkers. Man, that's for sure.
Oh, mate. Well,
all right.
Okay. Are you gonna show us?
Yep. So I'm going to say bye now because I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me. And I'm just going to walk back. And then after we see the mountains, we can just wave and you can sign us off.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right. Appreciate you, Andy.
All right. So he is now wandering over, disconnecting. This will be fun just to watch Chuck trying to disconnect everything. And he is, he's looking intent. Oh, here we go. We are up. Oh, I feel like a commentator. That's a nice place you got there, Chuck. Well, look at that. I tell you, these pastors must have some money, I tell you. And so there's the tree. There's Jason again. This is entertainment. Can't hear a word you're saying, Chuck. Can't hear a word you're saying. You're on mute. You're on mute. Oh, everyone that's watching this is entertainment.
Oh, wait. You can hear me now.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah.
There we go. So this is a fake moose, and I don't know why. The only thing we can think of is there's probably a video camera in this moose, for security reasons. But I was saying, here's Jason, who you talked to earlier, and you didn't hear me say, but the abominable snowman is right there.
I thought you were going to say the moose.
Yeah. Andy says, I thought that was the moose. No. Anyway, so Monday, two of the guys saw a moose and a baby moose while they're on a ski lift at the resort. Yeah. All right. So let's go outside.
How cold is it there, Chuck?
What's the temperature?
It's 38 right now.
38. Honestly, it's been warm, and because it's warm, it made for really icy conditions on the mountain. But I don't know can you see the mountain back there?
Yeah, look at that, everyone. Yeah. Is that a golf course behind you?
No,
I don't think
so.
Is that a parking lot?
It's like there's a little street right
Oh,
here.
okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can.
Beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah.
Hey, we took everyone to Colorado today.
Hey, there you go.
All right. Thanks, mate.
Well,
And
thank you, Andy.
We'll be with you again next week on Revival Town Podcast.
Yes.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Revival Town Podcast. Make sure you're following us on social media and remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, head on over to revivaltownpodcast.com.
We